Good evening, folks. It's Sunday evening, and I wanted to make this video to a couple reasons. I want to teach people a little bit about autism and dating and relationships and sexuality, but also I want to take ownership of some of my past sexual behavior and apologize for some of that. It's been a very difficult, challenging journey. Starting out here, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at the age of 22 years old, which meant that I didn't have early intervention. I didn't have ABA therapy, and I didn't have sex education. I had mainstream sex education, like with health class. Basically, they were like, this is how you make a baby, this is how you wear a condom, this is how you prevent STDs. And that was the basis of my sexuality education. For me, the challenge has always been communicating interest in people and things like that. And so, back in 2011, I met the Sunbergs, Carl and Devin Sunberg, who are phenomenal friends, great people out of Indianapolis, Indiana. They have a center in Fishers that helps a lot of kids with autism. And I met them, and, they were just really, 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 really helpful. And one of the things that they did, the nice things about their center, was that they actually collaborated with consultants around the country, like Peter Gerhardt and Pat McGeevy, and other folks like that. And so, I actually had a chance to see Dr. Peter Gerhardt present in Indianapolis in 2011. And to this day, that's the basis of my sexuality education, is that presentation and his YouTube videos, because I watch him on YouTube. And so, Peter's going along and he's giving his spiel, his presentation, and I'm like relating to every single thing that he says within his presentation there. And he starts talking about how he uses a made-up name, John, but John goes up to girls and saying, "Hi, my name is John, can I touch your breast? Hi, my name is John, can I touch your vagina? Hi, my name is John, can I touch your feet?" And so on, and so on, and so on. You know this, but I'll explain to those that are not familiar with behavior analysis or Peter Gerhardt. That's problematic behavior. That's problem sexual behavior. And before we go into this too much, we're going to talk about how we want to explain to people that aren't familiar with behavior analysis and social skills and social behavior is that sexual behavior is actually social behavior. So if you have a sexual behavior, it's a social behavior. The problem with this approach that John was doing, going up to girls and saying, "Hi, I'm John, can I touch your breast?" is that it's the last step. Well, let's back up. There are two things that John had really good, as Peter says. I'm quoting Peter here. So there are two things that John was really good at. John had really good body part ID. He knew female body parts. And John also knows that he has to have permission before he touches a woman. So he has to ask for permission before he touches a woman, which is really good. We did our homework there. We did a good job with John. The issue with this approach is that asking for permission is the last step in a 700, quoting Peter Gerhardt again, asking a girl for permission to touch is the last step in about a 787 step chain that goes from "Hi, I'm Travis," all the way to "Can I touch your breast?" And it doesn't work that fast. And so it's actually step 787, just as an example. That's a random number Peter uses, but it's step 787 as opposed to step 2. And John and people like me were making it step 2. And that's really, really, really scary and really problematic. And so now it's back into my life here a little bit. I'm 22 years old, get diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and I start to approach girls. I want to get to know them. I like to date them. I think they're pretty. And so I just start asking girls. I see this Peter presentation, and this is my sex education. So I see him present, and he talks about that step 1, step 787, and I know he's using it as an example that's a bad example, but I can't find any other good examples in my life of how to approach a woman. And so that to me at the time seemed like, even though it was a bad example, it seemed like the best option that I had, because nothing else that I was doing was able to get a girl's attention. And as Peter talks about in his presentations, is a lot of times autistic men can't even get a girl to say hi to them or get their attention. And so one way you get their attention is to ask them to touch them. That I've learned that actually that gets their attention pretty quickly, unfortunately, in a wrong way, negative attention. So yeah, then I started approaching girls, and mainly I did this on the internet because I was too scared to do it in person. Um, so I would send them out messages being like, "Hey, I'm Travis. I'd like to get to know you. Can I touch you?" Um, and I bet you I've sent out literally thousands or tens of thousands of emails to people asking them these inappropriate questions, and just really diving into the aspect of being inappropriately sexually. My sexual behavior is inappropriate and disrespectful. Um, but I think that I just needed to learn how to approach people in a more appropriate way because lately I've been learning social skills that help me approach and start conversations with people. And what I'm learning is you don't even have to necessarily talk about sexual behavior to get to know someone. And I would used to think that you would have to talk about sexual behavior to let a girl know that you liked her romantically and wanted to date her. And it was very confusing for me. But I want to back up. The issue that I'm dealing with here, or was dealing with, is that it became very problematic for me that I saw this Peter presentation, this awesome presentation that had a lot of potential to change my life, but I didn't have staff to go into it with me or dive into the context of the meat and potatoes of what Peter was saying. So I would hear something that Peter would say in his presentation, right? And then I would just use it and apply it to my life. But I was not generalizing and applying very well. In fact, I was generalizing and applying very poorly, so to speak, and just having a hard time knowing what to do with the information that I was taking in. Um, and so, as my journey goes on, I am learning to approach people, and I'm doing this asking for permission to touch. I have girls start to tell me, well, no, I don't think so, but if you pay me or buy me something, I'll let you. Um, so basically, I started learning that girls were giving me permission to touch them if I paid them or bought them something. So like that became like this. Um, Basically, it became like an automatic reinforcer for me to basically I learned that girls would provide positive reinforcement if you pay them or buy them something. They will let you touch them, and that's a form of positive reinforcement for me, right? So basically, I learned that wanting to touch a girl, the function of wanting to touch a girl, was reinforced with by giving the girl money. She would give me reinforcement. Very unhealthy, very bad, very terrible situation to be in. But it all started like at a bar one day when I was wanting to dance with a girl, and I walked up to her and I said, "Would you dance with me, please?" And she said, "I'll dance with you if you buy me a drink." Um, and being very black and white with autism, it's very hard for someone with autism to understand what's going on there. But basically, what I learned was if you buy a girl something, she will give you something in return, and it's like a power exchange or something like that. Um, and like I just learned that, and it just escalated through time as I got older and older and older. Eventually, when I asked a girl like, can we cuddle, or can we like go on a date, or can we like can I touch you? She started saying, well, if you buy me breast implants, you can feel them, or if you buy me a car, you can do whatever you want to, and things like that. And so I had a problem because being an autistic, I have a hard time generalizing and applying things and skills. And so it became very it's very challenging to generalize and apply. And I had a hard time telling what kind of girl was what kind of girl. So like the problem is there are some women who want you to offer them money for this kind of thing. Obviously, we have sex workers and we have people that want to be sex workers, and we have all of this. We have different options of people, but there are many, many, many girls. I'd say 90% of girls who don't want to be paid for companionship or romantic relationships. And I was having a very difficult time being able to tell which girl was which girl. And so I just started offering every single girl I came into contact with money to let me touch them, or to talk to them about touching them. So what I learned was if you want to touch a girl, you have to offer them money to have permission to even talk about touching them. And so as time went on, it not only became an issue of, me getting told by girls that if you do this, if you give me money, I'll do this for you. That happened a lot. But it became an issue of I started to offer the money first because I just expected it to go that way. I expected a girl to respond with, well, if you give me money, I'll do this. So I was just saving time by offering the money right away. The problem is I was doing that to the 90% of girls who don't want money for a romantic relationship. And I was offending them, upsetting them, making them think that I was creepy, and just basically disrespecting them by just offering them money. But for some reason, I had developed this belief through my social experience, my social conditioning was that you had to offer money if you wanted to touch. And so, yeah, I just, I continued to go that route, and I would spend years, probably 10 or 15 years of my life, just offering girls money and saying, hey, can I touch you? There was no basis for me. I had no emotional understanding of how to have a conversation with someone romantically or let them know that I was interested in them without talking about sex or asking for permission to touch. So for me, asking them for permission to touch was that communication, the social communication that I like them. But now I know I'm learning with my behavior analyst, my BCBA, is that there are different ways of communicating that show sexual interest without actually talking about sexual behavior or sex in general. And what I'm learning is it actually allows you to truly get to know a girl when you can just have a general conversation with her about daily life and things in the world and what's going on in the world without forcing the issue of talking about sex. And so, yeah, it's been really helpful to me to learn these social skills. I just feel like I didn't have I did. Everybody's always said that, I've got really, really great social skills, right? So everybody's always told me that I have impeccable social skills. But I didn't believe anybody that was telling me that, because when I was wanting to form a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship with someone, they were telling me that I was weird, creepy, disrespectful, a jerk, all the above, you name it. And so I had a hard time believing that I had good social skills because of the feedback I was getting from girls that I was attracted to. So what I've learned is that I've got really good social skills when I'm not attracted to someone. But when I am attracted to someone, because of my belief where I thought that you had to interact with them sexually to communicate interest in them, it caused me to have really poor social skills, because once you started skipping to that sex talk, you're skipping steps. And if you're not already emotionally connected to a woman before you actually start talking about sex and intimacy with her, it'll scare her. And so the problem became I thought I had poor social skills because I was using them in the wrong context. I basically had created this mindset that you had to use social skills in an entirely different social context to interact with a woman that you were attracted to show her that you were interested in her, and that's just simply not true at all. And yeah, so I just I'm learning a lot, and I think it's important to raise this issue and talk about sexuality education and social skills training for an autistic individual. And I think that I'm going to benefit from this. And we're actually going through a sexuality curriculum right now with my BCBA. And I'm learning that you don't even have to mention the word sex or touching or anything while you're getting to know someone. That's been really helpful. And so, but yeah, I just wanted to make this short video and talk a little bit about, how I was completely disrespectful and inappropriate with my sexual behavior toward a woman. And I think that it's a shame, but what happened for me was I saw this Peter Gerhardt presentation, and I was left to interpret it on my own. And I did a piss poor job of that. I interpreted it completely wrong. And that caused me to offend a lot of people, hurt a lot of people, make a lot of mistakes, and disrespect a lot of girls. And so I think that, the more that I learn about dating and sexuality and relationships, the more appropriate that I'm going to be able to be in my interactions with women. And I'm really excited about that, just to be their friend and get to know them and enjoy their company. I think I was so obsessed with learning the social skills to get a woman to like me that I had a difficult time just enjoying them as a person and who they were and enjoying their company. I was always thinking about what was next. And I never was able to be in the moment thinking about what they were saying or listening to what they were saying. I was not a good active listener because I was so obsessed with what was next, and getting to that end game, that end step. And that caused me a lot of trouble, and it offended a lot of people, and it hurt a lot of people. So, yeah, I definitely struggle with that, and it's something that I'm continuing to work on. I always want to better myself and be the best Travis that I can be, and through learning social skills and social communication, I'm learning that. And so, like, I think it's important to talk about this. Michelle Garcia Winter is the queen of social thinking. And in my opinion, if we have this analogy that sexual behavior is social behavior, then with social thinking, there must also be something called sexual thinking. And so I would venture to say that my sexual thinking skills are pretty bad. Again, I was very black and white, and I needed to categorize. So I thought, I like a girl. Hi, I'm Travis. Can I touch you? I needed to categorize her right away as a girlfriend or potential girlfriend, instead of just being her friend. And that was really problematic for me in my relationships with individuals, with women. And so I've recently been practicing this concept called mindfulness, which is really helpful. It's helping me to stay in the moment. It's connecting my mind with my body, and I'm not having out-of-body experiences anymore. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm just thinking about the present moment, and how can I be present? Because what I've learned is your presence is the best gift that you can give anyone. And your presence is giving someone your time and attention. And that's the best gift that you can give to anyone, right? So if you can practice mindfulness to keep your mind connected to your body, it allows you to be able to actually practice the social skills and connect with individuals on a deep level. And deep doesn't always mean sexual. And so that's important. I've learned that deep does not always mean sexual. And so it's very important to learn how to just have a conversation and connect with other people. That's really important. And that's how you're going to get into a romantic relationship, is through that connection. And it's not going to be anything spectacularly different like I thought it was. Again, I thought, here we are, it's this completely different thing. But it's not, guys. It's the same as making a friend. It just goes a little bit deeper than making a friend. So yeah, just be the best advice that I would give to someone with autism is you got to be you. But you got to be you in appropriate ways. And that's where I think, for me, applied behavior analysis comes in. Applied behavior analysis has never, for me, been about changing who I am as a person, or changing who I am at all. It's always been about learning the skills I need to be able to communicate who I am as a person to other people in appropriate ways. Because what happens if you don't generalize and apply very well, and you come off inappropriately socially, is you present this ultra image of a person that's not really you. And that's what's happening to a lot of autistic people sometimes, is they're coming off as someone that they're not on purpose, but because they don't know the social cues and the social norms to be able to navigate those situations. So super important for me is the ABA does not try to change who I am, and it actually just tries to help me learn how to communicate who I am with people, so that I can have positive and healthy social and romantic relationships in my life. So I think it's promising for the future. There's a lot of good things going on in ABA. That's another video for the future, but there's a ton of good things going on in applied behavior analysis. And I think that once we clean up the reputation of ABA a little bit, because we've got some issues with reputation, because we've had some not so good experiences from autistic adults. But once we clean those up a little bit, I think we're going to see ABA take off and go places that we've never seen before. But again, this video was all about me and my wanting to take ownership of my inappropriate and disrespectful sexual behavior toward women, and explain kind of my thought processes a little bit and what had happened to me and things like that, and help people understand where I was coming from and where I'm going now, in a positive direction, to never even ask a girl about sex again, just kind of let it happen. And so I'm really excited about this future, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching this video. And please comment if you have any questions, and hit that subscribe button so we can communicate more and learn more about ABA and autism.